He left me for a younger woman, but she's now my employee. Hey everyone, before we dive into today's story, here's a little reminder for anyone who needs to hear it today. Sometimes, the people who break you are the reason you learn how strong you truly are. Heartbreak might change you, but it never defines you. So no matter what you're going through, hold your head high, because your comeback story is already being written. Now, let's get into today's story. Title: He left me for a younger woman, but she's now my employee. You know how people always say, everything happens for a reason? Yeah, well, 3 years ago, I would have laughed in their faces if they'd said that to me. Hi, my name's Jessica Miller. I'm 33 years old, and once upon a time, I thought I was living the perfect love story. I had a good job, a cozy apartment in downtown Seattle, and a man who I truly believed was my forever Ethan Cole. Ethan wasn't just my boyfriend. He was my person. We'd been together for almost 7 years. We met at a networking event back when I was still trying to climb my way up the marketing ladder. He was charming, ambitious, and had that kind of smile that made people stop mid-sentence. I fell for him instantly, and when he fell for me, it felt like the universe finally aligned. We built our lives together from scratch, sharing bills, dreams, inside jokes, and late-night takeout dinners after long days. We used to talk about getting married, moving into a house with a backyard, maybe adopting a golden retriever. He used to tell me, "Jess, you're the best thing that ever happened to me." Yeah, turns out he was lying through his perfect white teeth. It started with the late nights. The "I'm just swamped at work" texts. The way he stopped looking at me like he used to. You can always tell when someone's heart leaves before their body does. One night, he came home later than usual, smelling like expensive perfume that wasn't mine. I asked him what was going on, and he sighed like I was being dramatic. "Jess, you're overthinking. You've been distant lately." Me? Distant? I was the one planning his birthday trip while he was probably out having dinner with her. A few days later, the truth came out in the most cliché way possible. I found a text on his phone that said, "Last night was amazing, red heart." I didn't even need to read the name. My gut already knew. Her name was Lily Anderson. She was 23, an intern at his company. Fresh out of college, bright-eyed, and exactly the kind of shiny new toy guys like him can't resist. When I confronted him, he didn't even deny it. He just said, "I didn't mean for it to happen, Jess, but I think I've changed. I need something new." Something new. Like I was a pair of old shoes he'd outgrown. I remember standing there, frozen, while he packed his things. He didn't even look guilty. Just detached. That was the part that broke me the most, how easily he could leave like none of it ever mattered. After he left, my life fell apart. I could barely eat. My apartment felt too quiet, too empty. I kept replaying every memory, trying to figure out where I went wrong. My friends told me to block him, delete the photos, move on, but when your heart's shattered, logic means nothing. For months, I cried myself to sleep. I even caught myself checking his social media like some kind of masochist. Every post with Lily felt like another punch in the gut, them smiling in restaurants, kissing in front of sunsets, living the life I was supposed to have. But one night, while I was staring at my tear-stained reflection in the mirror, something inside me snapped. "No more," I whispered. "You're not going to ruin me." And that was the night I decided to take my pain and turn it into fuel. I threw myself into work, harder than ever. I stopped waiting for someone to validate me and started building myself back up. Every project, every promotion, every 3 a.m. brainstorming session, I gave it everything I had. And slowly, I started to rise. Within a year, I was promoted to Senior Director of Marketing at one of the biggest tech companies in the Pacific Northwest. My salary tripled. My confidence skyrocketed. I traveled, met new people, and for the first time in years, I felt free. Then one morning, while reviewing new applications for our open marketing positions, my assistant handed me a stack of resumes. I was sipping my coffee, casually flipping through them until I saw her name. Lily Anderson. I nearly choked. For a moment, I thought the universe was playing some kind of cruel joke. I stared at the resume, her picture, her cover letter, and I swear I could feel my pulse in my ears. I could have tossed it straight into the trash. But something inside me whispered, no, Jess. Let's see where this goes. 2 weeks later, she walked into the interview room. Same blonde curls. Same confident smile. Same woman who once had everything I'd lost. She was wearing a navy blue blazer, looking polished and professional until her eyes landed on me. Her smile dropped. Her face turned pale. Jessica, she said softly. I smiled, calm as ever. Ms. Miller, actually. Have a seat. You could hear the tension crackle in the air. But I didn't let it show. I asked my questions, took notes, kept my tone polite and detached. She stumbled a bit through her answers, clearly thrown off, but she was qualified and honestly, I wasn't about to let emotion make my decisions for me. She got the job. And that's when things got really interesting. Watching her walk into my department on her first day, pretending everything was normal, was surreal. She tried to act professional, overly polite, maybe even a little scared. And I won't lie, part of me enjoyed that. But I never humiliated her. I didn't need to. I just treated her like any other employee, firm, fair, and professional. Because the truth? Real revenge isn't about screaming or getting even. It's about walking into a room that once made you cry and owning it. A few months went by and something changed. The sparkle that Lily once had faded. She looked stressed, constantly checking her phone, her smile forced. Eventually, during one of our one-on-one meetings, she broke down. Tears filled her eyes as she said, Jessica, I know I don't deserve your kindness, but I need to tell you. Ethan left me. For a second, I just sat there, speechless. Apparently, he'd cheated on her too, with another in turn, younger and newer, just like she once was. She said through tears, I thought I was special to him. But I guess I was just next in line. And you know what? I didn't feel satisfaction. I didn't feel the rush of revenge I thought I would. I just felt sad. Because I'd been there once too. I told her softly, you'll get through this, Lily. It hurts now, but one day you'll thank yourself for surviving it. That night, as I drove home, I got a message on my phone. From Ethan. Hey Jess, I heard about your promotion. I'm proud of you. Maybe we could grab a drink sometime? Just to catch up. I stared at that message for a long minute, a smirk tugging at my lips. I typed 2 words. Too late. Then I hit send, tossed my phone aside, and drove off into the night, the city lights reflecting on my windshield like tiny sparks of victory. Not the petty kind of victory. Not revenge for revenge's sake. But the quiet kind, the one where you realize you've healed, moved on, and become someone stronger than the version of you they left behind. You know that feeling when your life is finally starting to make sense again, and then out of nowhere, the past comes knocking on your door like a ghost you never invited back? Yeah, that was me. Hi again, Jessica Miller here. It's been almost 2 years since my world fell apart. Since I walked in on my husband, Michael, wrapped around a woman 10 years younger than me, giggling in our kitchen, wearing my robe, using our coffee mugs like she owned the place. Her name was Amber. She had those fake Instagram smiles, the kind that look perfect until you realize they're painted over insecurities. After the divorce, I promised myself one thing: I would never let anyone make me feel small again. And oh, did life take that promise seriously? I went from crying on my bathroom floor to running my own marketing firm. Every sleepless night I'd spent staring at the ceiling became fuel for something greater. I poured all my heartbreak into building Miller Creative, a small agency that somehow started catching fire faster than I could believe. At first, it was just me, a second-hand laptop, and a coffee addiction strong enough to power a city. But little by little, clients started trusting me. Word spread. By the end of the first year, I had a real office, glass doors, city view, the smell of expensive furniture polish that still didn't feel real. I was finally proud again. For the first time in forever, I could look in the mirror and say, Jessica, you did it. And then the universe laughed. It was a Tuesday morning when everything changed. I remember because I was wearing my favorite cream blazer, the one that made me feel unstoppable. I had a round of interviews scheduled for a new project assistant, someone young, fresh, eager. I wanted new energy in the office. My assistant, Lila, buzzed through the intercom. Jessica, your 11 o'clock interview is here. Her name's Amber Collins. I froze. It couldn't be. Amber Collins? The same name as her? I almost laughed. It had to be a coincidence, right? The world wasn't that cruel. But when I stepped out of my office and saw her, those same manicured nails, that golden hair that used to fall over my husband's pillow, my stomach dropped. It was her. Amber. The woman who'd stolen my husband, my peace, my confidence. Only this time, she didn't look like the smug little homewrecker I remembered. No, she looked nervous, unpolished, like someone who'd been through the storm and barely made it out. She stood up quickly, clutching her cheap leather purse, her voice trembling. Jessica? Oh my God. I didn't realize this was your company. Neither did I. Because honestly, in my wildest dreams, I never imagined the woman who'd broken me would one day walk into my office asking for a job. I wanted to kick her out right then. To say something clever, sharp, the kind of line that would make every betrayed woman proud. But something stopped me. Maybe it was the way her eyes darted around, as if she was scared I'd humiliate her. Maybe it was the fact that, deep down, I wasn't that broken woman anymore. So instead, I smiled, that calm, corporate kind of smile you wear when you know you have all the power. Please have a seat, I said. Let's begin. The interview was surreal. She stumbled through her answers, clearly unprepared. I could tell she hadn't been working much. She admitted she'd been taking time off after her last relationship. Oh, I knew exactly which one she meant. She tried to act composed, but her hands gave her away, fidgeting, trembling slightly every time I made eye contact. I asked, so, why do you want to work here, Amber? She took a breath and said, I've made a lot of mistakes. I'm trying to start over. That line hit harder than I expected. For a split second, I saw a flicker of the same pain I'd once carried. But I reminded myself I wasn't her therapist. I was her potential boss. When the interview ended, she stood up quickly. Thank you for your time, Jessica. Anne, I really am sorry. For everything. And then she left. I sat there for a solid 5 minutes after she walked out, just staring at the door. My heart was racing, not with hate, but with something else. Closure, maybe. I didn't plan to hire her. In fact, I told myself I absolutely wouldn't. But that night, as I sat at my desk, scrolling through the other candidates, something in me hesitated. She was qualified enough, sure. But it wasn't about that. It was about control. About rewriting my own narrative. 2 years ago, she'd taken something from me. Maybe now I could take something back, my power, my peace, my dignity. So I sent the email. Dear Amber, congratulations, you've been selected for the assistant position. Welcome to Miller Creative. When she showed up on her first day, she looked shocked but grateful. She kept her head down, worked hard, and stayed polite, almost too polite. No flirting, no attitude, no trace of the arrogant woman I'd once known. At first, I waited for her to slip up. To gossip, to act superior, to show that same smugness that had once haunted me. But week after week, she didn't. One day, I overheard her on the phone in the break room, crying softly. No, Mom, I don't have the money yet. I'm trying, okay? I said I'm trying. Something twisted inside me. It wasn't satisfaction. It wasn't pity either. It was complicated. Because for the first time, I realized I wasn't looking at the other woman anymore. I was looking at a girl who'd made a mistake and who was now living in the ruins of her choices. A month later, we had a big presentation for a new client. Amber stayed late every night helping prepare the materials. And she was good, really good. After the meeting, the client personally complimented her. And I watched her smile, genuinely this time, not the fake kind. In that moment, I didn't see my past anymore. I saw potential, growth, even redemption. But here's the twist life always loves to throw. Just when I thought I'd buried the past for good, Michael showed up. He walked into the lobby of my company like he owned the place, wearing that same smug grin I used to love. Amber froze behind me, pale as a ghost. And when he realized who her new boss was, his face dropped. Oh, the universe has impeccable timing. You ever feel the air shift before something big happens? Like the whole world takes one deep breath before chaos unfolds? That's exactly what it felt like the moment I saw Michael walk into my office lobby. 2 years. 2 entire years since I'd seen his face, the same face that used to kiss my forehead goodnight while secretly texting someone else behind my back. The same man who once promised me forever, then traded me in for a newer model. And now, he was standing right there in the lobby of my company, looking like he'd just seen a ghost. Amber, my assistant, yes, that Amber, froze behind the reception desk. Her eyes widened, lips parting like she couldn't believe what was happening. Honestly, neither could I. He blinked twice before muttering, Jessica Miller." The sound of my name on his lips made my stomach twist. I hadn't heard that voice in so long, deep, smug, and smooth like honey you know is laced with poison. I straightened my blazer, forcing a calm smile. "Michael." What a surprise. Amber looked like she wanted to disappear. She whispered, "Jessica, I didn't know he'd." I held up a hand. "It's fine, Amber." My tone was steady, but my pulse? It was pounding like a drum. He tried to play it cool, sliding his hands into his pockets with that fake confidence he used to wear like cologne. "I didn't know this was your company," he said, glancing around. "Wow, you've done well for yourself." The audacity of that man could power an entire city. He said it like I'd opened a lemonade stand, not like I'd built a thriving agency from scratch after he left me for a woman who's now standing behind my desk stapling invoices. I took a slow breath. "Yes, I have." "What brings you here, Michael?" He shifted awkwardly. "Actually, I'm here to discuss a potential partnership. My firm is expanding, and someone mentioned Miller Creative was the best in the city for rebranding." I thought. He stopped mid-sentence as if his brain had just caught up with the scene around him, his ex-wife, his ex-mistress, both standing in positions of power he could never touch. The silence that followed could have cut glass. Amber broke it softly. "I didn't know you were coming here, Michael." "I swear I had no idea." He turned to her, voice dripping with disbelief. "You work here?" "For her." Amber nodded. Her voice shook a little, but she didn't hide. "Yes, I do." I couldn't help but notice she said it with pride. He laughed, that bitter, self-important kind of laugh only a man with a fragile ego can pull off. "Wow. You really know how to twist the knife, don't you, Jess?" I tilted my head. "Oh, please. You walked in here on your own. The universe just has a wicked sense of humor." The receptionist, poor thing, looked like she wanted to melt into the floor. The entire office had gone dead silent. You could practically hear the tension crackling in the air like static. I motioned for them both to follow me into my office. If there was going to be a scene, it wasn't going to happen in the lobby. Once the door shut, I turned to face him, 2 years of bottled-up anger, pain, and confusion swirling in my chest. "So," I said, folding my arms, "you want to do business with me?" He ran a hand through his hair. "Look, Jess, let's not make this personal. It's strictly professional." I laughed. Loudly. The kind of laugh that starts out light but breaks halfway through. "Michael, you cheated on your wife with a woman half her age in her own kitchen. There's nothing professional about that." Amber flinched slightly, her eyes glassy with guilt. "Jessica, please. Don't." I held up a hand again. "No, Amber. You don't have to defend him. I think we all know what happened." I took a step closer to Michael. "You know what's funny? When you left, you said I'd never make it without you. That I was too emotional for business. That I didn't have what it takes to survive on my own." He looked down, silent. "Good. Let him taste that silence." "And yet here you are," I continued, voice steady now, in my office, trying to land a contract with my company, while your little affair is working for me. Tell me, Michael, how's that for irony?" Amber looked like she might cry. I wasn't sure if it was guilt, embarrassment, or both. But I wasn't cruel enough to humiliate her further. So I softened my tone. "Amber, you've been doing good work here. I mean that. I didn't hire you to punish you. I hired you because everyone deserves a chance to rebuild. Including you." Her lips trembled. "You're a better woman than I deserve." I smiled faintly. "You're right about that. But thank you for acknowledging it." Michael shifted uncomfortably, clearly not used to being the one left out of the spotlight. "Jess, can we just talk? Privately?" I looked him dead in the eyes. Anything you need to say, you can say right here. He sighed, dropping the businessman act for the first time. I made mistakes, okay? Amber and it didn't work out. She left, and everything just went downhill. I lost clients, investors, hell, I almost lost my firm. My heart didn't even flinch. There was a time when hearing him in pain would have cracked me open. Now, I felt nothing but calm. I'm sorry things didn't work out, I said quietly. But that's not my burden anymore. He looked at me like he didn't recognize the woman standing before him. You've changed, he muttered. No, I replied, I just stopped begging people to see my worth. Amber excused herself gently, whispering, I'll give you 2 minutes. But I shook my head. No, stay. You were part of this story too. Michael sighed again, rubbing his temples. Jess, please. Can we just start over? Professionally, I mean. I need this contract. My company's barely hanging on. I took a long, deliberate pause. Then I smiled sweetly, the same smile he used to mistake for weakness. You know, Michael. I think I'll pass. His face fell. You're serious? Completely. I stepped closer, my heels clicking against the floor like punctuation marks. Because the thing is, I don't build partnerships with people who once tried to destroy me. And I certainly don't hand out lifelines to men who taught me how to swim by watching me drown. He looked stunned. Maybe for the first time in his life, speechless. He left without another word. Amber just stood there, tears silently falling. I'm sorry, she whispered. For everything. I nodded. Don't be. Life has a way of balancing itself. Just promise me you'll never let anyone convince you that your worth depends on who you're with. She smiled weakly. You have my word. When she left the room, I finally sat down at my desk, heart racing, hands trembling slightly, but lighter than I'd felt in years. For the first time, I realized the revenge I'd been craving wasn't about making anyone pay. It was about proving to myself that I could rise, rebuild, and stand tall in the ruins they left behind. That day, I didn't just win. I reclaimed myself. And that, my friends, is the sweetest revenge of all. You know that feeling when the storm finally ends, but you still don't trust the silence? Like you're waiting for thunder that never comes? That's what the week after Michael's visit felt like, quiet, but heavy. I'd thought I'd feel pure triumph after that confrontation. I mean, I just lived through the kind of karma people make TikToks about. But instead of gloating or celebrating, I felt empty. Not sad. Not broken. Just quiet. It's strange how closure doesn't always arrive with fireworks. Sometimes, it just walks out of your office in a wrinkled suit, leaving the air behind it cleaner than before. For a few days, I kept replaying everything in my head, the way Michael's face fell when I said no, the way Amber's voice trembled when she apologized, the way my own reflection looked afterward, calm, unbothered, free. That was the moment I realized something. Revenge might taste sweet at first, but peace? Peace is a full-course meal. I'd spent so long trying to win, to show him I was better, stronger, untouchable, that I'd forgotten what it felt like to simply be okay. So, for the first time in a long time, I did something wild. I took a day off. That Friday, I closed my laptop, turned off my phone, and drove down to the beach. No makeup, no blazer, no expectations. Just me, the ocean, and a playlist full of songs I used to love before my world revolved around damage control. I sat there for hours, watching the waves crash like they were arguing with the shore, and something inside me started to unravel. The wind was cold, sharp, but it felt good, like a reset button pressed against my skin. At one point, I caught myself whispering, "You made it, Jess. You actually made it." And that's when it hit me, not just what I'd survived, but who I'd become because of it. The woman sitting on that beach wasn't the same Jessica who'd once cried herself to sleep over a man who couldn't even stay faithful through a flu season. She wasn't desperate for validation anymore. She wasn't angry. She wasn't waiting for closure. She was the closure. A week later, Amber asked if she could speak with me privately. Honestly, part of me worried she was going to quit. She came into my office, nervously twisting a bracelet around her wrist. "I wanted to thank you," she began softly, "for giving me a chance when you had every reason not to." I smiled. "You earned it, Amber. You've been doing great work." She took a deep breath, her eyes glassy but steady. When Michael left me, I thought I deserved it, like it was karma. But working here, seeing how you carry yourself, how you handle people with grace even when they've hurt you, it made me realize I don't have to live in shame forever. I'll admit, my throat tightened. Because as much as I wanted to pretend I'd fully moved on, hearing that cracked something tender open inside me. You don't owe me forgiveness, I said gently. But you do owe yourself a second chance. We both do. She smiled then, for real, not the polished, fake smile I'd first met her with. It was the kind of smile that only comes from someone who's finally starting to forgive themselves. That day, when she left my office, I realized something profound. Maybe we weren't enemies anymore. Maybe we were just two women who got caught in the same storm and somehow both survived. Months passed. Miller Creative kept growing. New clients, new faces, new beginnings. And for once, I wasn't just surviving, I was thriving. Then one afternoon, during a business seminar downtown, fate decided to throw me another curveball, but this time, a good one. His name was Ethan Carter. Tall, confident, with that easy kind of smile that made people feel seen. He was the keynote speaker, a tech entrepreneur who'd built his empire from scratch after losing everything in a bad partnership. His story hit me like a mirror. When the event ended, we bumped into each other at the refreshment table. Literally. I spilled my coffee. He handed me a napkin. We both laughed, and for the first time in years, the laughter didn't feel forced. We started talking, and time just disappeared. Not in that dizzy, head-spinning way that toxic attraction feels, but in that calm, I could talk to this person for hours kind of way. He was kind, thoughtful, funny without trying too hard. And when he asked about my company, he didn't look impressed by my success. He looked genuinely proud. That night, for the first time in forever, I went home smiling. We started seeing each other slowly, cautiously. No grand gestures, no sweeping romance movie moments. Just simple, human connection. Ethan never made me feel like I had to earn love. He didn't compete with me, didn't pity me, didn't treat my past like baggage. He treated it like proof that I'd lived. One night, over dinner, he looked at me and said, "You know what's amazing about you, Jess? You didn't just move on, you rebuilt. Most people never do that." And I swear, my eyes almost welled up right there at the table. Because for years, I'd been waiting for someone to notice, not the pain I'd endured, but the strength it took to heal from it. He saw it. He saw me. A few months later, I was back at that same beach, watching the sunset when Amber called me. She'd accepted a new position at another firm, leading her own team. "I just wanted to say thank you again," she said. "You changed my life." I laughed softly. "No, Amber. You changed your own life. I just gave you a place to start over." After the call ended, I sat there, barefoot in the sand, listening to the waves, and for once, I didn't feel like the world owed me anything. Because I had everything I needed. Peace. Purpose. And a love that didn't hurt. Looking back now, I realize something powerful. Closure doesn't come the day you confront your ex. It comes the day you stop needing to prove that you're okay. Michael's betrayal didn't break me. It built me. Amber's guilt didn't destroy me. It taught me compassion. And every sleepless night, every tear, every moment I thought I'd never recover, it all led me here. So if you're listening to this story wondering whether it ever gets better, trust me. It does. One day, you'll wake up and realize that the pain that once felt unbearable is now just part of the story that made you strong. My name is Jessica Miller. And this isn't a story about revenge. It's a story about resurrection. Because sometimes, the best revenge is simply becoming the person they said you never could be. Speed balloon, and that was Jessica's story. Sometimes, life doesn't give you the closure you want, it gives you the one you need. Because real strength isn't about revenge or proving people wrong. It's about quietly rising, healing, and showing the world that broken things can still shine. Jessica didn't just get even, she got better. She turned her pain into power, her heartbreak into a new beginning, and her past into the very reason someone else could start again. So, if you've ever been betrayed, forgotten, or left behind, remember this. You are not what they did to you. You are what you choose to become after. Broken heart sparkles sometimes the sweetest revenge. Is living a life that no longer needs one. Red heart if you love the story. Don't forget to like, comment, and share it with someone who needs a reminder that healing is possible. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button, because here, every story has a heartbeat, and every ending is a new beginning.
Thank you.